Hey, I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe during this quarantine time. Today I'm going to go over some basics for section 6.4.2 for your apex geometry. This section is really all about what we call special right triangles. So this first section here, 1 through 5, is all about the 30, 60, and then 90-degree angle. And there's a pattern that follows. Across from 30, we just put an X there normally. And then the cross from our 90 will be 2 times as big as our X. And across from our 60 will be X square root 3. So this just pattern that should be emerging where you have a ratio of 1 square root of 3 times 2. And we can put in whatever number we want for X. So for instance, if X, we just throw in some random numbers, right? I'll do that in red. If X is 5, that means this X should be 5, which means I need to do 5 times 2, so this side would end up being 10. It's twice as big as my 30. And then this side, I put in, a 5x, and I just put it next to square root of 3. So you go across from your 30, put in a number, and you just follow along from there. So we have some different types of problems here, and they give you different numbers. Always try to figure out what you're across from first. So if we're looking at number 1 here, I have my 60. That box always represents the 90. So if it helps you, write in that 30. Sorry, writing on the screen. My pen is not the most precise, but we make do with what we can do during these times, right? So we have 30. This 12 is across from 30. So if I'm going back to my example here, that means this 12 is my X. So 12 is X, so everywhere I see X in this pattern, I should replace with 12. I want to know the length of S. Well, X is across from 60. When I go across from 60, I add on the square root 3. So I take my X, which in this case is 12. I would bring it over, and then I need to add on square root 3. So you follow through these patterns and try to figure out where to go from there. Okay? Use these two models that I have for you to try to figure out 2 and 3 from there. There, 3 gives you across from the 30, and you have to go to 90. So what would you do there? In 3, be careful. This time we're given across from 90, so we have to work backwards. So think about how you would get back to just a plain X. Okay? So number 4 is a word problem. Step these things out. Think about them as best you can. A street sign company is making a street sign in the shape of an equilateral triangle. So that means all of our sides are equal. So we can draw that picture. Assume all my sides are equal because, my terrible artistry. It's fine. You can mock me as much as you want. The side lengths of each side are 22. 22. What is the exact altitude length so that the company will be able to know what size of box they will ship in? So altitude length, that's going to be our height here. Okay, so if I'm cutting my last 22 side into 2 pieces, I have 11 and 11, and you need to figure out this side. An equilateral triangle, oops, yes, I can do this. We need to find this X. I have a 90-degree, I have a 30-degree side, and a 60-degree side. So I need to figure out this X. So you want to piece together what you've done before. Okay. So I'm going to redraw that really quickly. Hopefully make it a little clearer. So you have an equilateral triangle. Equilateral means we have degrees of 60. But I'm cutting it, so I have a 30-degree and a 90 degree. Side lengths of 22, 22, and then a 22 being cut in half, so we have 11 and 11. And you want to find that middle length. Use those 30, 60, 90 rules from up here to be able to do that. And the same thing for number 5. Okay? This looks like a lot, but you just want to figure out that A. So you know these rules. You know your 30. Well, that's across from this 5 square root of 3. So what would I do over here? What would I add to get this 60 side? Okay? What gets added on in the 60 side? And that should be a clue for both of these to piece those together. The next set of problems, 6 through 10, deal with another special right triangle, which is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And the pattern here is even easier. It's X, X. Because these two 45s are the same, their sides should be the same length as well. And then X, add on square root of 2. So the pattern here is 1 to 1 to square root of 2. And again, you should be able to put in whatever number you want for X. So, if you like the number 20, X is 20 means this X is also 20. Well, that means this X here is also 20, and then just put that square root of 2 next to it. They should be fairly basic and fairly straightforward. Okay, so you can start whichever one you want. I'm looking over these. I mean, 6 is actually way easier than you may think. Just make sure you think about it for a second. It does give you this x squared root of 2 side, but also it gives you that 5 side. So think about it. You know, you kind of already have your answer to S. It's one of those 2 sides. If we do, let's do number 9, perhaps. The other ones, again, you have your side, your side. Instead of 20, you have 12. What would you do there? In number 8, you need to take off that square root of 2 to go back to your side. So what should S be? Follow a pattern. If I want to do number 9 here, okay, this time I don't have a square root of 2 on my 14. So I have to think backwards. When I'm doing this operation, that's really multiplying by square root of 2. So if I want to go backwards to my short side, I need to do something that's square root of 2. I need to do that opposite action. So I need to divide it out. So you can divide out square root of 2. I looked over the notes in Apex and they seemed okay with those answers. You can always put in a calculator just to double check. It really will depend on what the answer choices perhaps look like. I'm just not sure what all the Apex will accept. But another thing you can do if none of the answer choices are looking like this in Apex is we do what's called completing the square. We just don't like to have these square roots on the bottom. So you multiply it by square root of 2 on top and on bottom. Okay, so what happens is we write our 14 with our square root of 2. And because there's 2 of these, they come out of the root and would just be divided by 2. Which, yes, our 14, we could simplify. 14 divided by 2 would be 7 square root 2. I'm not sure if that's necessary for all the answers, but just to give you an example of how you would complete a square. It's very basic. I'll do another example with another number. 17 divided by square root 2. If I want to complete that square, if I want to complete out that square, what I'm going to have to do is multiply by square root of 2 on top and bottom. Don't get overly complicated with these. First thing you do, just combine that 17 and that square root 2. Easy peasy. The next thing you do is you notice that these have the same number on the inside, so since there's 2 of them, I can take them out of the root, and it would just be 17 over 2, 17 squared over 2 over 2. This time the 17 won't simplify with this 2, so I could leave it in this form as a final answer. That's just to give you a basics of what you could see while doing Apex. They may set up problems in a different way. I hope this was helpful. If you have questions while you're completing the problems we've not worked through from 1 through 10, please feel free to email me or contact me, and I will help you as quickly as I possibly can. Thank you.